this place is very cool. I know why Terry enjoys this. He's definitely in his element.
Hi, I'm Terry Pietras, W7JOC, the State Communications Officer with the Oregon Office of Emergency Management. We are in the ECC. Basically, the inner sanctum of what happens in the state of Oregon is the Emergency Coordination Center. This room is filled with essential support functions throughout Oregon. We have partners in energy and all of the different support functions in the state that show up here in this chamber anytime there's a disaster or anytime we have a drill or exercise. We drill once a quarter at a minimum, and these are state exercises, so all the counties are involved with those. In the amateur radio class that I teach, it's a class that's developed with a 50-50 agreement between the student and the instructor. The student has to put in 50%, and that's the reading. I put in the 50%, and that's the tutorial and the classroom instruction. We do hands-on interactive. Each class is usually tailored towards the audience. The particular class I'm teaching right now is for state agencies. So we've got Department of Administrative Services, we've got the Department of Justice, we've got Oregon Health Authority, and several other state agencies that are involved with this particular training class. By the time they're done, they've had experience with handling all of the types of products that they would be dealing with once they leave this class. They'll be touching radios, all the equipment, the power supplies, the cables, the coax, the antennas, all those kinds of things that they need to know about. They're going to be able to touch and feel every single part of that. Not only that is, in this class we bring alive the whole concept of radio frequency transmission. They see it on an oscilloscope, they get to play with a frequency, they get to play with amplitude and actually see it on an oscilloscope so that they can get that feel burned into their brain as an adult. Because we're adult learners and we sure learn a lot differently than kids do. I teach this class the way that I expect adult learners to learn the material. And I actually start in the back of the book. I actually start with chapter 7, then I go to chapter 8, chapter 5, chapter 2, chapter 4, chapter 9, 6, and I end with the toughest chapter, chapter 3. Chapter 3 is electricity, components, and circuits, and I save that to last. But here's the secret. I teach chapter 3 all throughout the previous chapters so that when they get to chapter 3, it's easy peasy. So we lend them the book, and what I do is I provide them with photocopies of the guides so that they can fold these over and use those as study guides. The last 3 chapters I'm teaching on, so I'm going to copy those out so that I have handouts for today's class.
Well, I am very privileged to be here visiting with Terry, W7JOC, and he has very graciously let me look around their radio room. Before he left, he's running off to do some copies for his class. He mentioned that they're prepared for all levels of disaster, including no internet. So if there's no internet, obviously amateur radio is up and running, and there are operators in each one of these stations. If they have a message, it is sent out to the room that we just were in, and if you look down here, there's pink forms right there. They know that if a pink form arrives out there, that it is a message, and that's information coming from this radio room out to the Operations Coordination Center. Very interesting, not to be nerdy, but when I was coming here to visit with Terry, and we're in Salem, Oregon right now, I've driven by this area on the freeway a number of times, and I saw this beautiful antenna farm. I didn't know what it was, but I sort of thought it might be state related, and it's Terry's antenna farm. And where we are right now in this room is where all the feed lines for those antennas come into. The white box off to the side is where all the feed lines come in and then are attached to radio equipment in this room. And it's very interesting. Each one of these stations has a particular frequency and a person that's going to be sitting here operating that equipment. And with headphones, obviously, there'll be a lot of different radios working. And I'm sure Terry will go over with me the actual coordination in this room and how the information here ends up out there for consumption by the folks that are coordinating a particular disaster.
In the Grand Ronde tribe, when I taught out a Grand Ronde to the tribe out there, we had a class that started out about 18, and we had 10 people finish. That same month that those people passed their technician class license, they went on to finish their general class license and extra in the same month. And one woman actually went on to become an instructor that I mentored for 6 months. And she's already taught her first class, and 100% of the people passed.
We are going to get to sit in on one of Terry's classes and see how that's done. I think it'll be very interesting.
But hasn't this online testing helped you? Hasn't, I mean, significantly. It gives you that confidence factor. That's why we started the first day of class, online testing. We got you in that habit of learning right away to do online testing. Turns on that transistor, lights the light bulb. You have a battery there, that's the whole purpose of that circuit. That is the most common thing that you find in electronics. Why? Because when you turn on the power switch, wouldn't you like to see a little light come on? Exactly. And that's what that circuit is. So we learned just a little bit about some of the theory. You really don't have to know all that theory about how it actually goes from. What you do have to know is it does go from alternating current to direct current. Okay? So it comes out of the wall, plug it into the wall. What comes out over here is basically the same as a battery. Any additional questions on power supplies? Last circuit is what? What was it? Tuner, right. We know that anytime there's an arrow through a symbol, that means what? Variable. Very good. These are the three most common circuits that you're going to use in amateur radio. So that's why they start you off learning those. Doug, when you get to the extra class license, do they teach you any more than that?
And see if we can make contact. And again, I'm really pleased that we did. This is pretty exciting. So I guess I'll probably be signing off here, and look forward to catching up with you when we get back into town. Got a lot to talk about. And
Okay, let me pull it right there. This is what's called IRLP. It's just another thing in ham radio. It's not software-defined radios, but it's kind of a cool little thing. IRLP stands for Internet Radio Linking Project. So what they decided to do was, wouldn't it be cool if somehow we could take our radios, have them connect through the internet, come out somewhere else in the world, out an antenna, and talk to somebody else in another part of the world through the internet. I'm talking on my radio. I just have a 5-watt radio pictured here. This is a Yaesu. And I'm talking to somebody maybe in Australia or somewhere through the internet. So I'm partially using my radio and I'm partially using the internet. Well, that's kind of cool, Terry. That means, hey, if I wanted to be at a OEM ECC communication center and talk to somebody in Clatsop County, you're telling me, Terry, that I could just use a 5-watt radio to do that? If the internet up and running, yes, you can. If the internet's not up and running, you can't. So it's just one of those things where technologies are kind of blended together. So we're going to watch, as you notice, this is our old friend, U.S. Navy ER doctor.
like to compare notes. So I guess I'll be signing off. 73 to you, sir. And this will be KF7 VRF clear.
Very good, Kevin. Understand appointments, and I'm going to be heading back home late this afternoon. I give my best to both of you, and look forward to continuing to explore ham radio and other interests that we share. And who knows what's in the future. I wish you guys safe travels, and I'll catch up with you later in the week. KF&ETX, I'll be